Sarge is in charge. Here's a look at the new Playmates toys. This is the Power Players Sarge. Game on. With a crash of Minergy-fueled power bands, 9-year-old Axel transforms into a 6-inch tall, super-suited action figure and joins the Power Players, a living toy team battling to save the world from Madcap and his mini-minions. Having a look at more of these Power Players, I'd like to also send a big thank you to the folks over at Playmates Toys who sent these samples my way. If you're looking to pick up these pieces for yourself, it's probably helpful to know how tall these figures stand, and something I'm more than happy to oblige, more than happy to provide you guys, the members of the mob. Sarge stands, get a gander at this, 5.4 inches in height, and that in centimeters works out to be 13.9 or almost 14 centimeters tall. And if you'd like to see some size comparisons, I can more than happy oblige with that as well. Here he is next to Axel, the figure that we've already had a look at. I'm liking the fact that each one of these, again, represent different aspects of action figures growing up. Axel has very much kind of the look of a Mega Man style of character. Well, when you have a look at Sarge here, Sarge is very much something like a Small Soldiers, or one of those vintage G.I. Joes that this guy happened to collect when he was growing up. Like with those vintage G.I. Joes, Sarge comes with some rather familiar looking accessories if you grew up in the days of collecting. Specifically, what I'm pointing at right now and talking about is this backpack that will fit obviously on his back. But it works the same way as like the old style action figures. You simply just take the very large peg and you fit it into the hole on the back of Sarge's torso. And I really like the fact that they do have just the simplest of means of attaching that in place. Unlike, though, the G.I. Joes of yesteryear, if you move the arm away for Sarge, you can see that they've contoured the shape of the backpack so it snugs and fits hugly, that's not even a word, against the torso here of Sarge. I like that. With the G.I. Joes, it would have just simply been a square backpack. And then you would have obviously noticed a big gap in between. But I like that the case here with Sarge, the backpack is shaped specifically for his back. And fits, like I said, snugly, not hugly, right against his torso. The other accessory he comes included with is this, which I can only best describe as sort of a handheld rocket launcher. The thing about the rocket launcher is I was surprised that the rocket in question, which I might also want to point out to you, has a big smiley face on the front, kind of looks like a shark. It doesn't seem to remove. I thought there would have been a button. Usually when you see something like this and you pick it up in hand, don't tell me I'm the only one that does this, don't you start feeling around for a button and activation point that would fire that missile across the room? Disappointing, though, it doesn't actually have a firing mechanism to it. There's no button, nothing like that. It's permanently kept in place. I guess for safety reasons, and obviously we have to be looking at the fact that for safety precautions, a missile this size would be too small, so they've just basically kept it permanently in the rocket launcher. It kind of actually looks like a jet as well, like an old, I don't know, like a futuristic ship or something. To fit it into his hand, I guess you could do one of two things. You can have it this way, kind of underneath him, where he's holding it more so like a trigger, like he's firing underneath him. Kind of like something like Roadblock. Here I am going and comparing this figure to like the old vintage G.I. Joes. I really can't help it. I feel a bit of a resurgence when I'm looking at toys like this because it reminds me of like the toys I used to grow up with and collect back in the day. So yeah, you can hold it like this. I don't know if the intended purpose is to hold the rocket launcher like that, or you can probably put it over top of his shoulder, which is one thing I was also doing at the beginning of this review. And he holds it quite well and a little bit more easier this way. I noticed though on the back of the advertisements, the packaging has him with these little smaller pistols. Unfortunately, this figure doesn't come with pistols. He only comes with the said rocket launcher and the previously said backpack. We can actually just put that in his back just like that. Removing it for the time being and having a look at this figure, Very much I'm getting the vibes of small soldiers here, right down to the fact of the trademark slash, the little scar on the face of Sarge. Seems like it has to be a staple. Like, it really does check off all the boxes of what you would expect for an action figure military soldier. He does have the green and the brown. Yes, check that. He does have the backpack. Check. Yeah, check that. Check the military blonde haircut. Yeah, we can do that. And also the scar on his eye. He pretty much covers all those territories. And a decent enough looking face. I really like that he's got a big smile on his face. You don't really know what he's thinking, but you know he's probably planning a strategy for maybe to attack Madcap. He does have, like I said, some really large torso proportions to him. He's a smaller figure, but he really is a very muscular figure as a trade-off to that. And like I said, the paint on this guy consists of like your typical military colors, the browns and the greens, right down to the fact that he also has little military boots, which, going back to a point I had mentioned when we had a look at Axel, it's strange again that these ones have very unique, specific shaped peg holes on the undersides of their feet. So it leads me to believe that maybe there is plans down the road to introduce something that's going to be making use of these styles of pegs. It's just a guess of mine. For this guy's articulation, for Sarge, for your articulation, his head rotates all the way around as it's attached by a ball joint. You probably can see it right there. And it does allow the head to hinge up and down a little bit, but a lot of times when you hinge the head up too high, it ultimately just pops the head right off the ball joint. Luckily, it's a very simple fix, and you can easily just pop that back in place. The arms rotate all the way around, and you can also get almost a 90 degree. Let's just call that a 90-degree angle on the arms. He does have a rotation on the bicep, which also allows an elbow bend, to which he also has rotation in his hands. Now, this particular figure does have the waist swivel, which sadly Axel did not possess, and this one does have the same articulation points that you would expect with lots of the Playmates pieces, from like the old vintage turtles to these ones right now. You get a good amount of articulation happening forward and back, and like I said, in and out as well. He has a bend at the knee, you can rotate the lower leg, and he does not have any foot articulation, whereas at least Axel did possess that. Let's finish up shop by getting all the accessories in his hands. We'll get the rocket launcher going. I feel as if we might actually get another one of these guys, specifically Sarge, where he might actually come with some extra accessories. I guess at the end of the day, what do you really need more than a rocket launcher and a nice conformed shaped backpack? Two accessories that Sarge actually does possess. Axel came with accessories as well, of course, the shield and the sword. So I like that when Playmates were creating figures for these, that they actually did consider the idea that kids love to accessorize figures. Heck, me at my age, a slightly older collector of toys, I love to accessorize my figures as well, and I'm glad that you can do it so far with the power players that we've had a look at. So we do have the military action figure, we can check that off, and we had the astronaut or space armored figure with Axel, we can check that off. I mean, really, with the power players, they're covering off all the basis of what kids would be collecting for toys back then and nowadays. You have like the Toy Story Cuddly Bear, which we will be having a look with Barbarian. I love the name of that. You have the luchador style wrestler, of course. That's called Masco. You've got Axel as sort of the space-bound action figure. You've got Sarge as the military action figure. And then you've got Galileo, I should say, who is actually more like the alien style of action figure. So it basically, like I said, covers off all the bases for what you would be collecting for action figures back in the day and the stuff that's circulating the rounds now. So I really like the fact that the Power Players gives you a little bit of everything. For people that love the military figures, like me, I have to clear my throat for that, I do get something like a Sarge. But for someone who likes wrestling figures, Masco covers the bill for that. And that's the really neat aspect of these Power Players, is that you get a little sampling of each of the various different categories of action figures as making up sort of a dream team of super fighting, super skilled action figure team. It kind of is like, in a way, it's sort of like the Expendables of action figures when you think about it, when you look at the lineup of characters. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here from Playmates Toys. A big thank you, by the way, to the folks over at Playmates Toys who were nice enough to send these samples my way. Today we were having a look at the new Power Players, and this was the leader, Sarge. If you guys like what you see, certainly hit this video with a like, and if you are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We are going to be having a look at the rest of the lineup for Power Players, so keep your peepers peeled for that. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.